What's going on, everybody? Matt Malatesta here at VYPE Media. We're in the Coach's Corner. We're going north. North Crowley's broken the internet last week with their win over DeSoto, but people think that's just a one-game type of thing. This is Coach Ray Gates. He's been building this thing for a minute. Coach, congrats on the big win, but take it back a minute. When did the culture of North Crowley change? How did you change it? And where do you go from here?
Oh, that's a great question. Upon arrival, we were just really excited. It was my first opportunity to be a head coach, and had been chomping at the bit. It's been really close at a lot of different places, and finally got a place to say yes to Coach Gates. And when we got here, the first thing, of course, you got to do is meet the kids, and once you meet the kids, it's about assembling the staff. And that first year was much of a whirlwind. We had to hire and bring in 15 coaches, and so I was hiring going into coaching school, and so we kind of hit the ground running. Installing schemes, offensively, defensively, and special teams, and started that season, going into our third game 2-0, playing a ranked powerhouse team, and Lucas Lovejoy, who had 4 Division I receivers that year. And it was such a great game for us, and that was the vital point in our first year that we knew we had an opportunity to be good, because we beat those guys. I believe it was 21-17 here in our place, and ever since then, it just feels like we hadn't looked back, and we've been building one game at a time, one season at a time, and put us here where we are today.
It's cool to see. It's hard. I've talked to a lot of coaches. It's harder. Is it harder to build it, or is it harder to maintain it?
Well, I think right now at North Crowley, we're still building. We haven't done anything that will stamp our legacy here at North Crowley. How you do that is you win a state championship, and that's the goal. So we have that fire, we have that hunger, we have that locked in tunnel vision, and we're trying to make sure that every week we go on the field that we're a better version of ourselves, the following week than we were the previous week. And so that's always the goal until they say that we can't play this thing anymore. And hopefully that's what's week 16 at AT&T Stadium.
You beat a DeSoto, who's the nationally ranked number 1, number 2 team in the country. During the game, what is your message to your guys? Because, when you play at Katy or North Shore or Duncanville, some teams, when they get off the bus, it's already 10-0. How do you keep your guys kind of locked in, focused on, hey, just another game?
Well, our kids are very, very, talented as well. When we go and we play football games, we're not going to be outmanned. We're not going to be out talented, and we're not just going to be just pushed around physically or intimidated. And a lot of times when you play a team, with the type of athletes and the type of team that DeSoto has, like you said, I mean, from a psychological standpoint, going into their place on the 23-game winning streak, you almost kind of feel like you're already behind, the 8 ball. And so I think our kids, had a great week of preparation. That game last year versus Duncanville, week 15, was an experience that we were able to bank and draw off of going into this game. In my pregame, speech, it was about Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas, and Mike Tyson was 37-0. Buster Douglas was 28-4. Every opponent that he lost to, Mike Tyson knocked out. He was a 42-1 underdog. And there were so many similarities between us going up against them. And Mike Tyson had never been knocked down on the canvas. So I told the guys, I had to tell them the tape up, us versus them. Since we've been here at North Crowley, they had a 23-game winning streak. We were 28-2. They've won 3 state championships. We won 1. And so I just told them that we had an opportunity to have a Buster Douglas night tonight to knock them down and put them on the canvas for the first time in 3 years. And it was fortunate that we were able to do so.
Just talk about your guys. I mean, super proud of your guys. You must be. You know, alphas in the locker room as it relates to leadership. On the offensive side of the ball, who are your guys?
Well, it starts with QB1, Chris Jimerson, unbelievable football player. He's a 4-year starter on varsity at 6A in the highest classification in Texas. There hasn't been a lot of things that, he hasn't seen. The moment is never too big. He's even keel. He's not too high. He's not too low. He's always in pocket. He's been in this offense now for 3 years. He has great command of it. He understands where the ball needs to go whenever we put it in his hands. And he makes the right, reads. And so when you have a guy that can do that, it always gives you an opportunity to win games, when you're playing some of the best. Quentin Gibson had an unbelievable game. Everybody is now finding out who he is. He had 4 touchdowns, 177 yards. He's been player of the week this week, on multiple different sites. But what you guys had an opportunity to witness on Friday night is what we get a chance to witness every single day. Today, he makes an unbelievable one-hand catch, and he makes it so effortlessly. The offensive line, John Turpentine's number 1 tackle in the class of his 2026 in the state of Texas. We have left guard and Henry Fanico, who's going to University of Missouri. The right side of the line, 6'3", 290-pound Dawood Greer, and 6'6", 310 Ian Carter. Those guys have done a great job of keeping our quarterback upright. And then in the backfield, Cornelius Warren and Daniel Bray are 2 of the best that you'll find. So we have a well-rounded offense that, guys have played a lot of football, and you're seeing the fruits of that experience.
On defense, how about on defense?
Defense, we have, we're headlined by, a guy in Jonathan Cunningham, who's a University of Texas command linebacker. He's been on varsity since a sophomore. He's one of those guys that played a lot of football. Jabril Asbury, another linebacker, a physical guy who kind of lines up and gets the show going. He's the leader of our defense. Xavier Coleman is another 3-year starter for us. A guy who's very cerebral, very athletic, is going to go play at Yale next year. Galen McNeil, safety, Drayden Fulbright, 4-star corner, committed to Tulsa. I mean, we have the guys and the ingredients to bake the cake and make it taste really, really good. And so we're really pleased with the talent that we have.
What's the bus ride home like?
Oh man, it's jubilation. It's getting on the bus, understanding that it's a business trip going on the way over, and it's like wearing a tuxedo T-shirt. We're business all the way over, but afterwards, man, hey, it's party and party hard. And the kids deserved it, and so they were super excited. When we got home, the parking lot was full of cars and people hugging horns and just congratulations. And, it was well deserved for our kids.
It's so cool because, I mean, look, they put in so much work. The staff puts in so much work. And you got to have some fruits of the labor, man. And something like that just really kind of propels you throughout the season. But how do you bring them back to earth?
Well, they came to work on Monday morning, and Coach Gates always has something up his sleeve. And when they walked in, first thing that they saw was a varmint trap. Right? On that trap, I had a sign that says North Crowley is the best in the state. And then on top, I put "Don't take the bait," and I had several things that I knew that they were going to hear throughout the week from people telling them that you beat DeSoto, you arrived, you guys are going to get offers coming in left and right. You're going to be a nationally ranked team. You're going to be one of the top teams in the state. Everything that could set you up for a failure, we've already discussed, and we're continuing to preach with our kids on a day-to-day basis. And, up until, this point, we're not even talking about DeSoto. Like, that's an afterthought. Like, what we did last week will not feed us this week. So we have to still have those hunger pains. We're still starving. And the only way we can get fed is to make sure that our preparation each and every day, it is giving us enough food. So when we get to Friday, we can feast.
Man, who filled you up with all this marketing and great ideas? Who's been your mentors over time?
Well, a really close guy, near and dear to my heart is Coach Lynn. I was fortunate whenever we moved to the Metroplex to work for him over at Cedar Hill for 5 years. And my last year there, I was the defensive coordinator and got the job here. And he was instrumental in helping me, secure this position here at North Crowley. And then the 2 years later, it's amazing how the tables turn. I was instrumental in getting him here. He's my crosstown rival at Crowley High School. And so, we're right across the way. We're rooting for each other except for one game, out of the year. And so a lot of what, Coach Lynn has done in his career, how he has gone about, his day to day. I had an opportunity to have a front row seat to that and bookmark a lot, of the things that he did with the teams that we had at Cedar Hill. So it's definitely paying off for me, here at North Crowley. And then I also have, Chris Gilbert, who's at the University of Texas. I talk to him all the time. And then Alan Wilson, who, for a very long time in the state of Texas was one of the best, coaches to do it. He's the first African-American coach in the state of Texas to win a state championship. And he comes in my office every single week, every Wednesday he's here. And there's not one thing that he doesn't say, that I don't engulf it, just take in and utilize throughout the week. So I have a really good group of guys that are around me to keep me grounded, and not to mention Coach Chris, who's retired, another one of those guys. So a lot of things that you see, are a collection of those guys.
Finally, you got to have what does Coach Gates do for fun?
Oh man, for fun, I love to cook. If anybody knows me, I got a big smoker. I pull it up for the kids, and I'll put on food for them. Hell, I probably need to feed them, this week after what they did last week. But that's one of my favorite pastimes. I'm from a small town, Shiner, Texas. It's home where they make Shinerbach beer, and you're either drinking some cold beer and pulling up and smoking some meat. That's the norm in Shiner, and so that's kind of how I grew up. And that's one of my things to do when I don't have anything else to do.
Well, he just cooked DeSoto. I tell you what, now on to the next. Watch out for them as they go for another state championship. Coach Ray Gates, man, we're the best in the business. So happy for you guys. You always hear Duncanville, DeSoto, South Oak Cliff, and they get all the run. There's so much talent in Dallas, so much talent. And North Crowley is right there. They are right there. Congrats again. Hey, we'll be following you all season. Talk soon. This is Matt with VYPE. See y'all at the games.